Hey guys, so I've been going back and forth on Twitter recently with a couple 9/11 debunkers over talking about Miles Power and Mick West. Now, Mick West has been in the 9/11 Truth Facebook page as well, arguing a couple things. He's actually made some pretty good points. Actually, he brought forth some better pictures of these pieces of this picture that was going around that looked like it's been in a lot of videos, but it's made to look like evidence of molten metal or molten slag on the ground. But he's found some better images of it, which show that it's actually papers burning and a fire. These higher definition pictures, and he's used that as one of the arguments against the whole thermite theory, of course. But again, that's just one photograph that's been misrepresented. There's another photograph that's often shown in the 9/11 circles that's been misrepresented too, and it's these pictures of the columns that were cut, and it's been pretty well established and proven that these columns were cut with a thermal lance and not linear shape charges or any kind of demolition device. So this is sort of misinformation that has gone around, and I've actually used these some of these images in past videos that I've done on the subject as well. Never claimed that this was actually a cut by a linear shape charge. That's been pretty well established that that's not what actually happened. So I kind of wanted to make a video to address these issues more clearly and go over some of the arguments that I was having with these people, with these various debunkers and stuff, who have actually, they've both blocked me now, and they haven't responded back to me after I addressed them with the same argument. In fact, Mick West still hasn't responded to this information that I'm going to share with you on here. So I haven't ever gotten an adequate rebuttal or a debunking response from a debunker to this. And the evidence that I bring up is this is what one person said to it. He said, "You didn't answer my question. Your methodology so far has been person X said Y is true, and there is no peer review to debunk it, therefore Y is true." That's called an argument from ignorance, if you're familiar with logical fallacies. He says, if that's the case, then I posit that Godzilla is real, and the movies are documentaries, unless you can provide a peer-reviewed debunk. So this was my response to him, that he blocked me over and I've not received a reply from. I said, wow, you're acting like chemical testing for explosives and high temperature accelerants is completely foreign to forensic science investigations. It's not. It's actually quite routine in fires where HTAs have been suspected. The real reason for why NIST avoided such routine examinations is glaringly evident, to me at least it is. And I also said, no, not at all, you're confusing person X with what I'm about to show you. This is the High Temperature Accelerant Fires Investigation Manual, and it was written in 1994 by a special agent of the ATF, and who was tasked with investigating a series of suspicious fires that happened up in Washington and Oregon State in the upper Midwest of the country. And these were fires that were started using high temperature accelerants. And he wrote this manual on characteristics for identifying these types of fires, and also how these investigations for these types of fires ought to be performed in a real scientific sense. Now, this thermite issue has been a central key of these 9/11 conspiracy theories, which has not gone away. 17 years later, here we are, still talking about it. And it's not ever going to go away until we get a legitimate investigation that actually looks into it. And that's kind of what the whole the crux of the argument here. You go to the final report of the collapse on the World Trade Center building that was written by NIST, and you do a Control F and try to search for the word thermite. There are zero mentions of thermite. It's not even mentioned a single time in the entire NIST report that was supposed to address these conspiracy theories and show us and debunk all this. And that this is like the report that all these debunkers and shills use to try to say, oh, well, the official story is correct, and, you know, here's the science. And they try to then claim that we don't understand the science. Well, the science is pretty clear. They did a computer model where they built a black box kind of model of the World Trade Center buildings, and then they showed how it could have collapsed from fire. They didn't show how it did collapse. They showed how it could have collapsed from fire. And if you're willing to believe that these buildings collapsed from fire and weakened steel and buckling alone, then who's to say, like, a couple little thermite charges added to the mix wouldn't have accelerated the process or made it happen faster? Made it happen a lot better, because it would accelerate the thermal expansion of the steel. If you just put thermite on the steel, it would have a much higher differential of coefficient of thermal expansion, because the concrete attached to it would dissociate, because the steel would expand and it would break apart. That's one of the issues that scientists have pointed out with the NIST model and the modeling data, was that they assumed that the concrete and steel were heated together. Or not separately, that you know, in a normal fire they would have been heated together. So anyways, the whole issue and crux of the argument revolves around high temperature accelerants. And you look up this manual. This is, I've linked it in the description. Everyone who argues this should read it, and everyone that brings it up to debunkers, or any debunker that brings up this issue, people should be throwing this manual right in their face and saying, let's go through all of these this entire list. And sorry, I have to shut off my phone so I stop getting phone calls. I'm not here to talk on the phone. I'm here to do a podcast and live stream. Try to. So one earmark of HTA fires is the appearance of intense white or nearly all white flames, often restricted to a relatively small area. That was seen on 9/11. There's a video called World Trade Center Thermite, where this south tower, the south tower of the corner, you can see this dripping molten metal with sparks. Often accompanying the white flames are displays of white-hot pyrotechnic-like sparks emitted from the fire. Again, there's a videotape footage of that at the World Trade Center. As the name describes, HTA fires generate extremely high temperatures. This can be evidenced not only by the appearance of the white-hot flames, but by the damage found in the aftermath. Okay, between 4,000 and 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, well, we have this, which was the only metallurgical analysis that was done of World Trade Center steel. And it was done by Jonathan Barnett, Ronald Biederman, and R.D. Siston Jr., and is from Appendix C of the FEMA report, also linked to in the description of this video. And in this report, we see exact confirmation of high temperature corrosion of steel in the aftermath of 9/11. High temperature corrosion due to a combination of oxidation and sulfidation, a sulfur attack on the steel. Concrete subjected directly to burning HTAs, high temperature accelerants, can be extensively damaged. Usually deep spalling may occur, as well as blue-green discoloration. Just do a search for World Trade Center concrete, 9/11 World Trade Center concrete. Look for meteorite. There's pictures of these fused things of steel with discoloration of the concrete and this blue-green discoloration. There you have it. So literally go through this HTA report, okay? Look up all the characteristics commonly associated with high temperature accelerant fires, and you can find evidence for every single one of them on 9/11. So NIST spends $20 million to write this report on their World Trade Center investigation. They don't even mention thermite, which is the main conspiracy theory, or was up until their disinformation agents started putting out space laser directed energy weapons theories and all kinds of other nonsense to discredit the science of the movement, and discredit the real core scientific arguments, and just distract people and get them arguing and get their heads going in all other directions. This is the key. We've never seen nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy done. That's what they can use. It's a chemical analysis. The main thing that chemistry students do when they analyze stuff is they use NMR. It's basically they put things in a vial with water, they mix it with water, and the hydrogen atoms in the water are able to talk to that with a laser, and they use spin magnetic resonance effects and measure the spin delay times as the hydrogen atoms in the water react, and they basically tell them on a computer layout what the hydrogen's next to, whatever atoms are nearby, so that they can say, well, there's a little bit of silicon, and there's a little bit of sulfur, and there's a little bit of, you know, this and that, and they can take by those these NMR readouts and identify the different elements and the composition of that material, whatever it is. That's the type of lab analysis that we needed to do, that we should have done, in order to constitute a legitimate investigation and prove to everybody out there that no, there was really no thermite that was used. You can trust us officially. Why NIST went through this massive effort to avoid discussing or talking about the main conspiracy theory, science based conspiracy theory out there is beyond me. It's obvious. It's obvious that they had no intention of actually doing a legitimate investigation which tested for this stuff. And then I have idiots who think they're like some kind of philosopher telling me that, oh, well, I can posit that the flying spaghetti monster, you know, did 9/11, and if you can't prove it wrong, then he did. No, this isn't the flying spaghetti monster. This is basic forensic fire science investigations that were not followed, that were ignored, that were not mentioned. This should have been cited and mentioned in a legitimate investigation. Then, if the NIST report was a legitimate investigation, period, this should have been referenced in the sources at the back, at the very end of this document. It's not. Okay, so there's another article written by Kevin Ryan on his website called How to Debunk World Trade Center Thermite. And he goes through basically the same stuff that I just covered, but in a little more scientific detail, with a little more evidence and a little more discussion of things, which I'm not really going to get into here. If you're really interested in it, read that article, and really keep the arguments focused on this thermite stuff, because they're scared as fuck of it, dude. They want you to be talking about directed energy weapons and you know, secret space program and all this craziness. That's the kind of stuff that they want you to be talking about. They absolutely hate when you use real science, real forensic fire science investigation that they fail to do to show them and expose them. I have not heard. I'll wait for Miles Power, Mick West, and I want everyone in my channel, everyone who sees this video, I want you to share it with everyone you know who's interested in 9/11, and I want you to especially send it to Mick West and Miles Power and all these skeptics. And oh, send it to Michael Shermer too, because he wrote an article for Scientific American claiming that no steel was melted at the World Trade Center. Well, I'm going to actually put together a little summary video, and I wanted to just play it for you. So let's go ahead and play that. Do I get sound on this? I can't hear the sound on that. So never mind, I'm not going to play it. Anyways, yeah, that's if you want to see that video, there's a whole compilation. I'm going to link to both of those videos in the description below. But there's basically a video evidence summaries of all of the eyewitness reports and evidence for molten steel at ground zero. And yeah, that's it. I mean, really, just stay focused on that. Throw that HTA fire, you know, high temperature accelerant fires investigations manual right in their face and be like, look, tell me which one of these characteristics, go right down the list, which one can't be reported, which one isn't evidenced in the body of 9/11 evidence. They're all there. There's clear evidence of all these things. And then why didn't they do HTA fire tests? and a full-scale thermite test. This full-scale thermite test is what should have been performed, not this bullshit. This bullshit right here is a fucking cover-up. And if you believe the government is telling the truth about 9/11, after doing like some real research into the subject with a completely open mind, you'll see that the official government story holds no merit and a new investigation is absolutely needed. Thanks for watching, and I'm done.